This is a very important section. It's in Chapter 0, Section 1 of your book, and it's called Plan for Problem Solving. It's on page P5, so it's not page 5, it's P5 because technically this is Chapter 0. It is important because on the EOC there are a lot of word problems, and you kind of have to have a procedure as far as how you're going to go about doing them. So the first one is to understand the problem. Next is to plan the solution, solve the problem, and then go back and check the solution. That's probably one of the most important steps because I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me, oh, I thought I was doing it right, but when I checked my answer, I found my mistake. So that's a really important part. If ever you have extra time at the end of a test or anything to go back and just check your answers, check your solutions, I highly recommend it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go ahead and read a problem that's in your book. It is number 1 on page P6. Page P6, number 1. And the directions said to decide whether you need to estimate or give an exact answer. I'm just going to go through these 4 steps with you, and we're just going to solve the problem together. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and pause the video at this time and write these down, because this is pretty much the basics of everything we're going to be doing this year in Algebra 1. So number 1 says, while on vacation, the Jacobson family drove 312.8 miles the first day, 177.2 miles the second day, and 209 miles the third day. About how many miles did they travel in all? So if I'm going to understand the problem correctly, I have to figure out what's going on. And it sounds like this family is traveling for 3 days, and it's telling me how many miles they're driving each day. So I'm going to plan my solution by writing out the important information. I'm going to read through the problem again, and as I'm reading through the problem, I'm going to write down the information that I feel is the most important. So on day 1, they drove 312.8 miles. And I promise you that says 0.8. Program does that sometimes. All right, and then it says on the second day, they traveled 177.2 miles. And on the third day, they traveled 209 miles. And they want to know how many miles did they travel in all. So what I'm going to do, as I'm planning, I'm going to go ahead and write an equation. I'm writing an equation, 312.8. I'm going to add them all up because we want to know the total. That's what it's asking us. 0.2 plus 209. And we're going to make that equal to x. Part of this chapter also talks about defining a variable. That is also on page P5. That's a very important part of algebra, even though we all know that if we add up all these numbers, we're going to get our answer. But I want x to represent my answer. I want x to represent the total. So defining a variable is very important in Algebra 1. What I'm doing right now is in my calculator, I'm typing in all these numbers. I'm adding them all up. And my x equals 699 miles. That is our final answer. Now, because the answer says we can estimate, the answer in the book actually says it is about 700 miles, but that's okay. All we're doing here is we're going through these steps together to solve this small word problem. So I recommend for practice that you do the other odd problems on this page and go in the back of the book and check your answer.